I'm Scott Fishman.
I'm John Dwoskin.
And this is the 7-Minute Salesman.
Welcome, everybody.
Good morning, Johnny.
Scotty, good morning. How are you?
Doing great, man. It's a beautiful sunny day. I think I always talk about the weather. I'm not sure why, but yeah, it's a beautiful sunny day here in Michigan.
Yeah, it's a little chilly, but I had to move my car so my wife could drive my daughter to Sunday school. So, but the sun is out, and I think the sun and the audience is ready for some good content to grow their business this week. What do you think, Fish?
I think so. I think this is going to be a fun episode, John.
All right, good. How do you mean?
Well, we're talking about the importance of having fun. So I think we need to make the episode kind of fun and not just talk about the weather.
Well, how do you, when you talk about fun, so today we're going to talk about how to make work fun, Fish?
Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
wow.
So I'll tell you, my wife always talks about it. She's like, when I see you at work, you're always having a good time. She's like, if you couldn't screw around with your friends at work, like you wouldn't last. It's impossible. I say, yeah, it's absolutely right. You have to have a good time because work is called work. You know, it's work. It's not fun. So we need to somehow find ways to make our lives fun and make work fun in order to look forward to getting there, in order to make it enjoyable while we are there. And also it comes across when we're on the phone or in meetings with our clients and our prospects.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, where you work, you have a culture of fun, but I think a lot of companies don't have that culture. And so sometimes people actually have to create the fun for themselves.
Yes.
And so I think it's important that we talk about both today so people can find their own inner fun.
Yes.
while at work, which I think is, I know we're laughing about it, but it's important because, a lot of people don't know how to have fun. And we're going to teach them today how to have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were talking offline a little bit as we were kind of doing show prep. Surprise, folks, we do a little bit of prep here.
Not too much, by the way.
No, definitely not too much. And we talked about a way to gamify metrics and goal setting. And I would love to have you kind of expound on that because you kind of told me a little bit about it and then we saved it. So,
yes. So we'll start out with like probably the least fun part of it, but I think I think your stuff is going to be more fun. But I think that it's really important. I think in any business, it doesn't matter what you're doing, but we're talking to salespeople today, and it's really important to get the day-to-day and the small wins. If you don't, then it's too hard. And so, everybody has a business plan, or everybody should, and when you have that business plan, it's really important to reverse engineer it down to the quarter, and then reverse engineer it down to the month, and then reverse engineer it down to the week, and then even sometimes reverse certain elements of it down to the day. So when you leave the day, I'm talking to every salesperson in the world right now, when you feel like you have worked your ass off and you have made dials and you have gone to meetings and you have done everything you think you're supposed to do, but you had a shitty day and you feel like you haven't grown or done anything in your business. The reason you got to kind of have the day-to-day goal is so you feel like you get some small wins and you make a game out of it. So if you're going to make, let's just say 20 calls, then you make a game out of making 20 calls and you take a lot of pride and joy and you somehow make it a way to make it fun. A lot of times I find salespeople will say, well, I got to make 25 calls today, but I don't have time to make them, so I'm not going to make it at all. Well, make it a game. So make, 10 minutes 5 times in your calendar to make it, and then maybe find somebody to compete with in another office or cube and say, hey, whoever finishes first today of our calls, has to take the other person to lunch. Just like try to find the fun in something, in tasks that seem mundane, but are really powerful to grow your business in a compounding way.
I wholeheartedly agree. We've actually talked about things like this in the past where my very first sales director ever told me to count the no's instead of the yeses.
Yeah.
We would go for a certain amount of no's and we would try to get to 100 no's. And invariably we would get a yes in there and we'd have to start over. and it would drive you nuts because you wanted to get those no's to end your day or your week or to get that feeling of accomplishment, but a yes would interrupt you. And it's like, wait a second, I'm getting mad that I got a yes because I'm losing the game, but I'm winning the game of work and actually making money. So it's not a bad thing.
Right. I gave a workshop yesterday to a group of salespeople, and they were talking about their conversion rate. I asked them, like, what are your conversion rates? And some knew, some didn't. But one of them was like, well, for every 200-ish calls I make, I get X. And so to your point, they got to wait for 200 no's to get to one yes. If you're sitting around waiting for one yes 200 times, you're gonna hate what you do.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we talked about this in the past as well, is making sure that the numbers, like you said, breaking it down to the day is very important, and making sure you kind of, I hate to say, know when the real wins come. So, but you do. Whereas what I mean by that is if you have 5 days in a row where like, yeah, I made my 20 calls, I'm doing it. You have to make sure that somewhere along the line you're ticking off the box of gain the commitment for someone's business as well.
Right.
So you have to like get super excited for the ones where the win is like a high five, chest bumping win with the guy in the cube next to you, versus just, I had a successful day. I made it. I hit my 20 calls. So there is that fine line, but you definitely have to make sure that you're going for those little wins, because if you don't, you're going to be downtrodden on a bad week or a bad, bad spell, bad 2 weeks, whatever it is.
And just to reiterate what you said, I agree. You got to understand what your pipeline continuum looks like, and you got to get all of those real clients in to grow your pipeline.
Yeah.
And because the goal is to make money. And so you need yeses from people who will actually make you money.
Right. And you mentioned something with competition, competing with the people next to you or competing with people in another office, maybe even in another building, because nowadays we're all hooked up electronically. You can have little competitions of who's the first person to get to this milestone. It might be calls. It might be, in our situation, it might be conversations. It might be how many presentations we had, certain things like that. But whoever gets to those numbers wins. It's definitely important.
Yeah, that's great. I just want to mention one more thing about, and I don't know if people would categorize this as fun fish, but they should, or they could if they do it the right way. Have an accountability partner at work. Have somebody that's going to really push you. And I'm not talking just your boss or somebody that you report to, but somebody that you can kind of plan out a 30-day accountability plan, make it a game, have fun, and really push yourself and choose somebody who's actually going to push you outside of your comfort zone. That, for the right people, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, you're checking off a box.
Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, but you're checking off a box. That's something that is fun when you're holding yourself accountable to things. It's just like I read an article about it's important to make your bed every morning because you're starting your day with checking off a box. Like you're getting an accomplishment done the very first thing when you roll out of bed. And you just continue doing that. So yes, being accountable feels good. It feels good. I don't know about you, but when you pay your bills, it's crazy. Like you see the money flying out of your bank account, but it feels good because you're actually doing that. You're accomplishing something. There's those little things. So there's something to be said about that. The accountability, the buddy who can hold you accountable is definitely important as well.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. Well said. All right. What about you? What's some fun stuff?
Well, there's a couple things over the years that we've done, and it kind of stems from, I don't know, have you ever seen the movie Super Troopers?
No. That sounds good.
There's a scene where it's a total comedy movie, and there's a scene where these guys get pulled over by the cops, and the cops are messing with the people they pulled over, and they keep saying meow, like, get out of the car, right, meow. Like, and they keep like meowing. So I don't suggest meowing with your clients. Can't say it hasn't been done, but I don't suggest doing that because people pick up on it. But having a word of the day, like just picking a word and defining it in the morning and challenging people to use it. The first person to use it gets a prize. We have one, I like verisimilitude. I'm pretty sure it means like an abundance of choices. I could be wrong. So someone in the community out there will correct me, I'm sure. But first person to use that word wins a prize, or you shout it out every time you use it. And it's just a fun way to lighten the mood. And then another thing that we've done over the years is we call it bingo. and it's banker bingo because I work in the mortgage industry. And you have a box that someone makes, a bingo chart, and you fill it in every time something happens on the phone. So when someone hangs up on you, or someone says, I have to talk to my wife, or someone gives you an objection about the cost being too high, or someone says you have the wrong number, or you get that voicemail call back that just sits there and breathes. They don't realize that your voicemail is actually recording, and it's just a minute of dead air. But just dumb little things that happen on a daily basis. But the first person to fill that bingo card, everyone else buys them lunch. So it's always
It's fun.
It is fun.
Yeah, that is fun. That is fun because it also, I would think also for somebody new in your industry coming in and looking at that game, they know that those things that people say have happened to them and continue to happen to them, even though they're seasoned in the business, it is happening to them.
Right.
And they're probably going to fill out their bingo card faster only because they're going to get through calls or meetings faster because, they know how to kind of thumb through it. But that's great. That's great. I love that.
Yeah, it's fun. And it builds a feeling of camaraderie because you're all in it together.
Yeah.
There's those one-off things. Like, I'll tell you something we have in our industry where when you're new, invariably in the first 3 months, this happens to you every time. You get some late night phone call where some guy who's got 1 million homes promises you, if you can get this one house approved, I'll give you all of them. You can write mortgages on every single one of them. And he knows in his head that he can't freaking get approved. And he's just trying to not scam, but try to find a way to work the system a little bit and work the new guy who he knows is working late and get a way to get this done. And they never pan out, and people just waste time. And I recognize it every time when a new person will bring it to me. I'm like, yep, you got the call. I'm like, just, this is a catch and release. Let it go because it's never going to happen. It's never going to pan out. And you're just going to waste a lot of time. And frankly, I'm not wasting my time helping you.
Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. And games help the time go by. But I just want to highlight one thing real quickly. Games are a lot more fun when you know what the end game is in mind, and you know that what you're aiming for, and you understand the big picture of where you want to go, because the games add that just little jolt of energy that you need to get you closer to your goal.
Yeah, and gamifying the metrics, talking about it the way you mentioned, where you're going to take your goals and reverse engineer them. It's important that, you like you said, there's landmarks that are getting you to the actual place you want to be. So yes, those $20 a day, if I get them for a week, at the end of the week, I should have this many meetings set up, this many presentations, or this many new clients from those calls. It's not just getting the calls. And that's kind of like you said, when you're putting your weekly, bi-weekly, monthly goals in there as well, it's going to help you get further on your roadmap and hit those landmarks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What other fun things do you guys do?
I mean, it's nuts. I work with thousands of millennials. We have the Olympics that goes on where we literally have like the Olympics from Revenge of the Nerds, like big wheel races and 3-legged races, and in the wintertime they do hockey skills. Like it's crazy the stuff that we do.
Yeah, you guys are fun.
But there's also, and sometimes I actually have brought it up that sometimes it's too much. We always have a contest going on of some sort. It's March, so we have a March Madness contest, which is huge. You see people literally, in order to win, when they get further into their bracket, when they're a team that's still alive, because we have great prizes, they literally will work till midnight in order to win and hit their goal and beat the team that they're going up against, because they know at the end of the day, not only are they working harder to make more commission, they're also going to win this great prize, which is usually a trip, all expense paid, to some lavish location. So it is pretty cool. Other things we do is, contests always, like I mentioned, but the reason I say sometimes it's too much is sometimes there's like the big contest, and then there's another contest for the person who does the most this, and another one for the person that does the most this, and it's almost like they butt heads. So gamification sometimes can be a little bit too much as well. You can't just make it all about fun. There has to be an end game in mind.
Yeah. One of the things I talk about when I talk to some companies are having a fun committee within your company. And so I think it's important to have those 2 or 3 people that are always coming up with ideas that can be relatively small. A fun one that recently a client of mine did, and it was a ton of fun, was they posted up pictures of everybody's baby pictures. I think a lot of people have maybe done this, but you post up baby pictures and then you have to guess who's who. And then at one of the company meetings, you talk about like who's who. And it always lends itself to a ton of laughs. And,
yeah, for sure.
It's simple, but it is, it's just a fun thing to do. And I think from a company fun thing, a potluck can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong. So if you run a sales group, everybody likes food. I don't know what it is. Food made in other people's kitchens. So
yeah, the potluck is a big winner for sure.
All right, good. So what else can we tell everybody about having more fun? I just would like to leave with this, that you have to have the right mindset when you are looking at sales and growing your business. And you always have to kind of approach it in a way that is gamifying it, I think, Fish. I love how you say that, because what we do as salespeople is very difficult, and sometimes it can be very monotonous. And so always be thinking every, couple weeks how you can turn a game into something little that you do that is an important task that you have to do. And that's just going to get you over the hump of maybe a little bit of boredom of the day to day.
Yeah, I think it also it pertains to a lot of things, but what you're doing is you're distracting yourself. You're keeping your eye kind of on the ball, but off the ball in respects towards your ultimate end goal. And it's just like, I wear a Fitbit type thing. I want to hit my goal on my Fitbit every day, because if I hit that goal, I'm going to lose weight. Hopefully I'm doing things in order to hit a goal, but that goal is not always the same thing. Just like when we were younger, I don't know if you remember at Vic Tanny Fitness, they had the rowing machine where it was like a video game. It was a race where you could row against somebody, and you would race on this video game, but you would only move by actually doing the rowing motion on the rowing machine. So you would be competing against your friend, but you'd be getting a workout because you were trying to actually win. It wasn't just sitting there and doing reps on a machine. You were actually working towards an end. Just like trying to stay in the zone on the treadmill. You're trying to stay in the fat burning zone. You look at that readout that tells you where your heart rate is. You're gamifying that because you're trying to keep the ball in the circle, kind of type of deal. You're not trying to like concentrate on how many steps you're taking or how fast you're running. You're trying to keep yourself in that zone. It's just the same thing. We will always want to have fun, because if we're doing these small little things, it's going to get us to where we want to be in the end.
Yeah, I love it. And just always having that competitive edge to just, keep it more fun and keep the laughing going. I think that's what it does too. It lends itself to more camaraderie, gives itself a more of a competitive edge, and hopefully it gets you to laughing a little bit more when you're at work, because that's important too.
Absolutely. So I think we did have a little bit of fun today, John.
I think so.
We're the two-man fun committee here. I love it.
Sounds good. I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, and have a really fun week.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Now, no excuses. It's time to put everything you listen to into action. Stop bullshitting yourself. Stop lying to yourself. Stop listening and doing nothing with this information. Take this information, implement it into your day, kick some ass, grow your business, grow your sales, make more money, have more fun, have a better life, period, the end.
What he said.